So on the map, I can see that we have people from all over Europe, and we will actually have people from outside of Europe joining online. So, ready to go?
Yes.
Good morning, Amsterdam!
And welcome to the second forum!
In 38 centers of vocational excellence, schools, businesses, and policymakers work together to create the best, the most innovative and appealing vocational centers of excellence.
And once a year, please don't stand in the hallways, there's cameras. Once a year they meet to share their experiences, learn from each other and inspire each other.
Yesterday, participants visited 12 public-private partnerships and had dinner on the canals of Amsterdam.
Yeah, and today you have this conference day. There are rounds of workshops created by you. There's even one round of workshop where you can pitch already. So it's going to be a really inspiring day.
And parallel to this conference, we have the domestic Katapult festival happening next door, so you can join their VR, their Lego and Beans experiences.
But we start with the talk show.
This year is the European Year of Skills. What are the best ways for vocational education to build skills? Should we focus on skilled professionals or skilled human beings?
And this we discussed with the European Commissioner for Jobs and Social Affairs, the Dutch Minister for Education, a teacher, a student and an entrepreneur.
The conference this year is bigger than ever. We have 400 participants on site, 200 people joining online from more than 40 countries.
Including Ukraine. Even though there's a war in your country, education should never stop. Slava Ukraina! Melanie is already going to her online booth because we want to hear your voices and your opinion as well during this conference. If you're in the room, take your phone. If you're at home, look at your screen. Melanie, how can people join us?
You can join us by taking your phone and going on menti.com. You insert the code that you can see on the screen. And for the people watching us online at home, you see it on the right-hand side in your browser.
Yeah. Can we go back to the map first? Because I also want to see where our online audience is coming from.
Yes.
Here we see the map of the world. So, quite a lot from the Netherlands, but they're from everywhere. Where are they from, Melanie?
They're really from everywhere. So we have many people from Greece, I can see, also from Turkey, from Italy, Spain, Poland, Germany, and the Baltic countries as well.
The Baltics. Well, and we hope that the rest of the world, there might be a little delay in the live stream. We hope that the rest of the world is also going to grow during our conference. Yeah, during the talk show, we'll have many questions pop up on your screen. So please join our conversation. We're going to get started, but let's first look how the COVIDs have evolved in the last 4 years since they started in 2019. Yeah, only 4 years old already, such a big success. Commissioner Smit, you're the Commissioner for Jobs and Social Rights. This is the European Year of Skills. How proud are you?
Well, I'm very proud, but I think those who are really promoting the skills agenda, they have to be proud. So this is what we intended to do, is encourage everybody to be engaged, to be committed in promoting skills at the largest possible scale.
If in 10 years we look back on the European Year of Change, what should have clicked during this year and be different forever?
Well, that skills is at the center.
Skills at the center. Minister Dijkgraaf, you're the Dutch Minister of Education. Before that, you were a professor of mathematical physics at the University of Amsterdam and Princeton. But you just told me over coffee, you learned your best research skills in Art Academy.
Yes, I did, because one important quality for a researcher is to deal with the unknown, to be creative. And actually that's something, I would say that's a highly transferable skill that you typically are taught in art classes, right? Which is not about having the perfect score on your exam, but how do you deal with uncertainty? How do you deal with flexible circumstances? And the moment you put a pencil on paper, you're doing something that has never been done before. And I think this is actually a good example of the kind of skills that we need, I would say, in every job. I can't think a job where you don't want to be a little bit like an artist or a little bit like a researcher in order to go into the future.
Yeah. Up till basically a few years ago, there was a big emphasis on higher education. Go to University of Applied Sciences. Especially under your tenure, we see a change. Go work with your hands, do vocational training, and even in small things, like you don't call them school people anymore, we call them students now.
Absolutely. So I think there are two good reasons why we should have a more appreciation of vocational education. One is, I think, just as a fundamental principle. I think we will go into a future where there will be more jobs than people. So we really need everyone. But also, if you look at the great challenges that our society has, whether it's in sustainability or dealing with the whole digital or the green revolution, actually, it's the skilled workers that are in greatest demand. And I think that actually means that I think we are now in a moment where we want to really appreciate vocational education and not deal with it like we do, for instance, higher education, and I hate that word, but actually start from the inner strength of vocational education. And I think you can immediately link it to skills. Because I think it's vocational education that has this close collaboration with businesses that have a long tradition of thinking in terms of skills. So in some sense, it's not like we want to bring this field of education to the same level as others. But actually, I think they're more advanced. I think actually vocational education is in some sense in the lead, and they are even better oriented towards the future than other forms of education, I would say.
With mathematical physics, we see the need for international cooperation because the universe is the same everywhere. Is it also really obvious for vocational training to have an international or EU focus, or is it much more a regional thing?
No, it's not. I think clearly there's a regional component to it. But I think if we think in terms of student mobility, international collaboration, it's just as important in the vocational education track as it is in other forms. In fact, I would say, particularly within Europe, where there's such a strong collaboration among businesses, this actually is the best argument why we should also have more international collaboration within the EU and outside, and more mobility. But I think we should also think in terms of how can we facilitate this without creating huge bureaucracy. Yeah. And again, I think the linking to skills, which is much more thinking about not so much in terms of degrees and diplomas, but more in terms of the building blocks of what an education should be. I think that actually might also be a liberating element in order to make this international movement of students, teachers, more flexible.
We're going to talk about it later. Gaby Ellert, you're the member of the executive board of VET College Amsterdam, where we are, and board member of the Dutch Association of VET Providers, the MBO-raad. But also you were the director of the National Center of the Performing Arts, where you optimized awareness and skills of artists and athletes to increase self-management and a sustainable professional career. What kind of skills were those?
Well, thank you so much for bringing my past and linking it also to the huge value of conceptual thinking. Because actually this knowledge center was built to prolong the career of dancers and athletes, basically by being able to combine your athlete or dancer career with education, coincide learning while doing, so actually everything we do here, why we are here. And also to give them more knowledge about how their body functions, also give the industry more knowledge about how a body functions and how training, because it was all about training, how training is incorporated in a body and mind, and how we all can learn from that.
can a lot of vet institutions learn from that and keep making people fit for a long life of lifelong learning?
Yeah, and I think they are. I think we speak more about training, not just only education. We speak about interculturality instead of only internationalization. And we speak about collaboration and creativity, the 21st century skills. So I think we are combining those elements and knowledge nowadays, and we learn from sector to sector, from domain, but also from educational system to educational system.
Wonderful. Anna Rosband, you were a dual student. What is a dual student?
Yes, so I make my traineeship in Germany, and there we have the dual system. So the traineeship was divided into two parts. One part was the vocational school, and the other part was the company. In the vocational school, I learned the theoretical knowledge, and in the company, I learned the praxis.
So both come together.
Yes.
You did your apprenticeship abroad. What did you learn from that, what you couldn't have learned if you would have done it at home?
I learned a lot there. So I was in France, and it was a little bit difficult because the most of the people there only speak French,
Oh la la.
so I must need my French skills from school, but they weren't the best. So I also communicated with hands and feet. And that's also the reason why now I feel more confident in my work, in conversation, in our branch with our customers, with 4H language, because there are also customers which only speak English or don't speak English or German, but there is a way for communication at any time.
Wow, wonderful. And you graduated, but you haven't stopped studying.
Yes.
Why do you want to keep going?
So to be honest, I have a lot of free time, so I want to make something useful, and I really like learning, and in my opinion, lifelong learning is very essential. And another reason was, of course, that when I want to get a higher position in my company, I must have a higher degree.
Okay, wow, good luck with that. Rosella Rico, you're a consultant working as a researcher in the field of human resource with a focus on diversity management. And your company is part of one of these centers of vocational excellence. What does it bring you as a company to be part of such a center?
Because as a company, we are a world leader in the evolution of the market, and we try to connect the need of the company and people. So we choose to see that the most relevant problem is the skill shortage, and we need to cooperate with the reality that are best in forming, in training this kind of skills. And so we started to look around us and to discover the world of vet, because it's not so known in the side of companies, and this is a problem. Looking at this kind of world, we start to understand that the real necessity is to build technical skills and soft skills working together in order to innovate and prepare people for the future, and so supporting in a better way our client, our customers, and helping to connect these to reality. At the same time, we see that in front of a request of a demand of work, there was a very big amount of people that were left behind. And so we start to think about how we can widen the pool of people that we can take to the market. And we need to better know them and to work with excellence that help us to start to make a personalized approach to education and to professionality in order to work together.
We're going to talk much more about that later, but first we're going to talk more about skills. Melanie, before we're going to talk, what do we want to know from people?
Yes, we have asked the people what skill you recently acquired has unexpectedly benefited you the most, and we have many answers coming in. We have 180 responses at the moment. So many people are saying networking, communication, collaboration, management. So we can really feel that we are in the COVI forum right now.
Okay, wow. You still have a few seconds to answer this question. Well, we are going to look at yesterday, because many of you went somewhere in the Netherlands to see one of this one vet provider that is really good in working together in a public-private partnership. You went there. We're going to go to the city of Mailducks, where it happened.
we are participating in an Allview project. It's a COVI for the wood and furniture sector with 8 countries, 22 organizations. We focus on 3 themes: circularity, Industry 4.0 and active assisted living. And it's a very interesting experience for us and valuable to participate in a COVI. By meeting people, you can exchange knowledge and we can help the industry grow. Good craftsmen and women are very important. So thanks to Katapult for organizing this forum. And we were very happy to receive our colleagues on this site visit.
I'm very happy to join the COVE community to learn each other and to exchange ideas. I want to learn from the experience of the others and to meet new people and new ideas.
So I came to the Netherlands to see how public-private partnerships work in real life and to exchange best practices on how we can do it in other countries with our European Union partners.
It was really amazing to see to which kind of level they really do educate. And they have 2 kind of systems, a school system and also a system like we have in Germany, like a dual system, but on a smaller level.
It was very inspiring for me because I ran a school also in wood experience and wood skills, and I would like to share experience and students with this school.
I learned that there is an amazing system and setup for vocational training when it comes to this particular area of craftsmanship in this school, and I learned that you are definitely focused on circular economy, which is fantastic.
The most impressive thing I've seen is that there's a lot of ambitious people learning and living here together and seeing that they are all very ambitious about getting educated, to see the spirit of the woodworking, to feel the wood, to see that it's nearly the same. But I think that brings us together in Europe.
I think I'm happy at the end of this visit when I find out really how things work, how people collaborate, how institutions, companies, higher educational institutions, vet institutions and training centers really work together on viable solutions.
Wow, that was yesterday. So right now, we want to talk more about the longest discussion in history of education, probably as old as education itself. Is education there to teach you the skills for your job, the professional skills, the craftsmanship, or is education there to teach you how to be a good person, a good human, how to survive the difficult 21st century, and how to be ready for a lifelong learning? Melanie, we also asked this to our audience.
Yes, exactly.
Where on the skills are they?
Next up, we have a rating question on the focus of skills in VET. So we ask you, how is it now and how should it be? More on the professional, on the technical skills, or more on the life skills, the transferable skills?
And what do people answer?
So we can see that actually we should be working more towards the transferable skills, the life skills. This is on 6.5 average, while where we are is more or less in the middle.
So we should be focusing much more on the life skills than we are right now. That's basically what people are saying. Mr. Schmidt, do you agree?
Yes, I agree. Well, I think we have to have the right balance between both. You have to have the technical knowledge, but you know the technical knowledge is good today and is changing tomorrow. So you have at the other level, the life or the soft skills, you have to learn how to learn permanently. And this is an attitude in general. So I think you have to have the right balance, but it is very important to emphasize the soft skills precisely to be able to learn permanently. That's the lifelong learning approach.
Yeah. Anna, you agree?
Yes, I agree. So It's completely my opinion. I find it very important to do both of it.
Yeah. Ms. Rico, but sometimes you hear companies say, we just need skilled workers. Give us skilled workers. It's nice if they also know how to use social media the right way and how they survive these difficult times, etc. But we just need people, if they're woodworkers, to work wood.
We need people that are able to work, and so they need both technical skills and life skills, but the life skills are more and more important because they open you the door of different industry, of different kind of professionalism. And we try to identify 4 different element area of life skills. Cognitive skills, relational skills are in demand, self-improvement skills, learn to learn continuously, and data skills. This kind of 4 areas of skills are very important, and you can find in cognitive skill critical thinking, flexibility, you can find the communication skills, and in the relational side you can find the way to boost other people, like leading or make visioning, at the same time empathy, emotional intelligence.
But that is a lot.
Yes, there are a lot.
But
we need persons that are able to face the challenges that an evolving context pose. So we need persons that are able to be flexible and adaptable and able to collaborate with others.
Ms. Allert, is VET able to deliver that?
Yeah, but because why do we have to choose? I think we have very many ambassadors here in the house and here on the stage for TVET. And I think we have the opportunity, therefore, to show how diverse and broad and the width of TVET. Because I think learning is about where you are in your learning trajectory and what skills you need at that moment. So we need both. It's a balance, it was said before. And depending if you're starting to learn how to be a professional or to learn how to work in the industry, or if you want a additional instant knowledge, or if you collaborate with companies that are trying to innovate their knowledge while working with students. So it's not one or the other. And I think I want to stress the beauty of TVET education and all the people working there with such a diversity of students, whether they're 16 or 83, or collaborating with the companies, but also helping people to become a young adolescent in a very fast-changing labor market.
Someone who was Teacher of the Year a few years ago, he was from VET school, he said he just threw away the curriculum and said to all his students, the first 15 minutes of my class, you're going to read. Maybe a novel, maybe a comic book, I don't care, but you're going to read for 15 minutes because that will develop your skills. And then he got a little bit in trouble with his school because he said, yeah, but you have a curriculum to follow and tests to make. Was that a wise decision of him?
I think teachers are wise people and teachers are learning. And I think what we see is that we do not always know how to address, and we experiment. And I think if this enters the classroom through GOVIs, through innovation tracks, this is fantastic. Education is not static. And what better way for students to participate by co-creating and making education? Education is not about learning knowledge or getting information, it's about creation. And if you allow students to co-create, so make education, then we build the citizens of the future. And it's much more exciting to go to class when you can collaborate with your teacher. Plus, for the teacher, it's also much more interesting.
Mr. Dijkgraaf?
I must say, I find it a fascinating discussion, between the technical and the soft skills. I think we should stop talking about soft skills as soft. I think they rock hard. I think, they actually influence They actually influence the bottom line of companies more if people know how to work in a team, if they are entrepreneurial, if they are creative. But there is a paradox here, because I think we all agree that the technical demands on workers are, much more intense now. So, some sense, and so you need these technical knowledge base. But I think the big point is that the world is changing so fast that in the past we would solve problems by saying, well, I can't do this, but my children can do. They grow up using computers or they grow up using electricity, whatever. And now we know that within a single lifetime, you will have to go through many of these transitions. And so the question is not so much, I think, technical or soft, but are we flexible enough thinking about our technical skills to permanently update them? And I think that is kind of the meta level where we want to provide the insights in order to make sure that our technical skills grow with us. And indeed, clearly, educational institutions want to provide people who can do the current day jobs, but also the jobs for the future. Yeah. And nobody knows what these future demands will be. But we know one thing, and it will be done by people, I hope. And so that means that and I think that's the difficult task of educational institutes, that we have to look into the future and somehow project. It's quite remarkable. Sometimes I use the metaphor that if you're a school, you basically develop the iPhone 50, and you have to keep it in the box, and you can only open the box in 25 years, and it will do exactly what you want. And I think that's the hubris. That's just the core of what education is about, that we think we can prepare people for the future.
And this is all still very much focused on what you need in the workplace. Where does it end? We see if young people turn out not to be too tolerant to sexual minorities, we make an educational package for it. If they need to know about geopolitics, we go into education. If they have too much stress from social media, they need to learn how to deal with social media in school. And some schools say all the problems of society are thrown in our backyard and we have to solve it. Let parents do it, let churches do it, let football clubs do it. We're not the only people reaching children.
Well, I think the school has to give the keys to young people to handle all the issues they are surrounded by. Now, we are talking about let's call it life skills and technical skills. Now, we are at the beginning of a new era, and that's artificial intelligence. And this opens completely new fields where you need, obviously, also technical skills, but where the life skills become more and more important, but also the capacity, finally, to absorb these changes, to deal with an environment which is changing, and an incredible mass of information you get. And how can you sort this out? Internet, well, when I was young, there was no internet. Now there is an internet, and students are working with internet, which is a completely different way how to study if you have internet or the time where we hadn't internet. So, but you have to learn to use internet as you have to learn how to use social media. And this creates a lot of conflicts. And that's why school is so important, to teach also this kind of knowledge, of capacity to handle.
Okay, well, that's a lot on schools. Let's talk about what kind of skills are essential, because what are these skills we need in these difficult times? Melanie?
Yes, in the meantime, we have asked the audience here and online, what are the essential life skills? And I have to say they are very much in the line what has been said already. So communication, collaboration, adaptability, flexibility, learning to learn, critical thinking, those are the most essential life skills according to our audience.
Yeah. Anna, what is something that you see around you young people have that you think we should focus much more on training them, teaching them that skill because they're needed?
So I think that we're teaching more about how to communicate and how to work together, because I think that's the main fact which is really important. And also that maybe how to teach to be open-minded to each person. So maybe also we could make it with internships aboard because, it's a really nice experience.
You say communication. What we hear as old people is that Gen Z doesn't dare to make phone calls anymore. They have so much anxiety from TikTok and Instagram that they don't dare to pick up the phone and call someone. They only maybe want to send a WhatsApp. Is that something? Should we make calling people class where you just get a phone book and call someone?
I think the ways change. Maybe the Gen Z wanted to write an email, then make a phone call, but it also works. And maybe to divide more ways to communicate so that also all people are open also to communicate by email or something like that.
So we should also send the older generations to school to learn to deal with Gen Z.
Maybe.
Well, Ms. Nico, you're very much also experienced in how to reach those education is not reaching yet, those who find it difficult, who drop out. How can we make education more inclusive for people also who have learning disabilities or for whom studying is not a natural thing?
I think that in order to include this kind of people, is necessary to make a revolution in our way to approach them. I mean, we are habit in making programs and thinking that we have to do, but in order to let them enter in the school and in the company too, we need to look at them, make active listening to them, and looking at their ability instead of their problems or criticalities. And so working on that value that they can bring and working on that in order to make something different. In companies, in order to do that, you have completely to change the organization of work. I mean, you have to change the way you select people because you have to change the questions. Not try to find the person for the place, but try to find out the capability that the person has in order to understand how to enhance this capability within your organization, even changing some processes or some kind of profession in order to make a fit with the person and the context in which we are. And you have to work with the context around you, so eliminating biases, open to inclusiveness. These are other life skills that are very in demand today because you have to make a difference. Open your mind in order to be aware that there are some kind of biases. 99% of people are affected by unconscious biases. Everyone, yes, because we need to shorten the effort to make decisions.
While you talk, we have some footage from the GIFT project where you work on inclusive excellence. I think maybe we can see them. This means a lot for schools. If we need to make education accessible for everybody, even maybe we have to get much lower on basic skills that you might learn in primary school or somewhere else. And also we need to make the other students much more able to learn and work with diverse people.
Yeah.
Do we still have time to teach woodworking if we have to go to such a fundamental level, Mr. Dijkgraaf?
Yes, we can do this because you can actually combine these two ingredients, in a very easy way. And I think, all these questions about, you mentioned, everything is put on the plate of education. And dealing with the stress, dealing with the new society. But the wonderful thing of working in education is actually, it's a laboratory. It's not just dealing what's out there in society, but it's a place where you can create a future society. And I think actually that's a great responsibility for educational institutions. And so to be more inclusive, to, as was said, to communicate more, be more aware of that most things in life are a team sport. And all these things, you can do at the same time, do your woodworking or, technical skills or whatever. I think actually that's the wonderful element that these things come together. And I think it's important that, it's, in the end, I think it's not whether you fit into the system, whether you fit into the educational system or in society, but whether society is able to adapt to you. And I said there's a very practical reason. We need everyone. So, it's from purely selfish reasons. Society wants to include everyone. But I think actually at the same time you also create a better and a more inclusive and a more just society.
I always talked with some entrepreneurs about this topic a while ago, and they even said, for so long it was a luxury, we always had skilled workers, and now, the easy people are out of the market, so we have to rethink the way we work, and actually my work became nicer because we don't have a fixed job description. We try to squeeze people in, but we just take a person and say, who are you, what can you? Well, let's create a job for you.
It's true, and I think, in education, the way we think about society, we carry the images of the past. Now, we, in some sense, still living in the 19th century, when you had a job and you were doing it forever, and in fact, you did the same job your parents will do and your children will do. And I think, and that, I often use the image, if you're on the highway in the United States, there's a sign that says, stay in your lane. And I think that's no longer how society works. But we still have these images. And so I think part of the discussion should be, can we let go of these images? I think it actually, it's both a relief for educational institutions, but also for companies. If they can actually embrace that flexibility, in fact, that's how human life is. And in fact, I think that's how the future is developing. The Commission just mentioned AI. Well, it's a good example, We have all been reading and talking about these chatbots. That all happened in the past 12 months. We're living in a time when a month is a serious time period where things change. So we can no longer think in terms of you getting an education and job for life. It's something that has to be adaptive.
And consequent change. Commissaire, you worry very much about the so-called needs. People are neither in education nor at work. What role do you see for VET institutes to also be inclusive to them?
First, I would very much insist on what the minister said. Now society needs everybody. And we have really to give everybody an opportunity. Now, some are easy and some might be a bit more complicated for different reasons. And these are very often young people who at school, because school has not adapted to them, and they did not probably adapt to the school, they are out. And we cannot just leave them out because for many reasons, for social reasons, economic reasons, social cohesion reasons, we really have to make efforts to outreach, to reach to them out. And this is, I think, the needs issue. We have 8 million needs in Europe. Not so many in the Netherlands, which is probably also because you have vocational training, you have a more flexible system. There are countries where there are millions of needs. And I think this is a big task to really try to bring them in and to offer them the right way how they can learn. Obviously, many of them have not been at ease in a classical school. Vocational training, which allies practice and acquiring knowledge, might be much easier for them or much more suitable for them. And I think this is the way we have to design the ways how we can recuperate them. And this is, I think, vocational training. Vocational training is a vast field. It's many ways how you can practice vocational training. Just one example, IT. Many people discover IT through some kind of vocational training, not going into university and study IT at university, but just through practice. So I think this is something we can do, especially also for needs, and offer them the right way in order to help them to find their place in society.
Well, that has a lot of implications. Yeah,
I just want to add something to it because in our this discussion about education, often we are just sketching the opportunities, and how everything can be better. But vocational education has another job. It really is a lifeboat for young people. And if they drop out of life. And I'm very proud, actually, from the OECD countries. I think the Netherlands has the lowest number of needs, so that's great. But still, in our country too, last year, we saw a higher number of students dropping out. And this might have economic reasons, but it's, some of them, it's just a missed opportunity. And I think, apart from the demands of society, demands of companies, I think there's also just an important job for us to save these young people. And I think that's another thing why everybody working in vocational education should be very proud, because they actually are in charge of that lifeboat that is actually securing a future for these young people.
Wow, wonderful. That has lots of implications for how we work in vet education, because we put a lot on them. How can we organize it? But first, let's see, how can we settle this debate between professional skills and life skills once and for all? Melanie.
Yes, there's an active discussion going on about this question, how to settle this debate. And many people are actually saying we don't need to settle this debate. It's an ongoing process, and we should not be able to find a solution once and for all. Others are suggesting concrete solutions like teachers training, more COVIs, more collaboration, and policy frameworks that support this.
Wow, let's hope this debate never gets settled, but we get better at it all the time. We're going to talk about how the role of vet institutions could or perhaps should change if we heard all the challenges that we just heard. Before that, we're going to see a really nice example of a place where they do educational innovation, where they adopt new technologies, and where they share public-private knowledge in a skills ecosystem. Let's see the urban greening and water.
We're taking a deep dive, and it's not the kind where you wear swim shorts, but it's every time that the companies in ePlug meet together, we don't have the time to share our nerdy knowledge. So we wanted to go down in detail with the things we did.
ePlug is a network of landscapers throughout Europe. We are participants from 6 different countries, schools and companies, all sharing ideas of curricula and best practices throughout the countries.
ePlug is setting up a European-wide network, and we are learning from companies, but also from schools, from other countries, and we are learning how they do things and how we could apply that in our company and in our country as well.
I participated in a deep dive because across Europe there's a lot of expert and a lot of knowledge, and when we combine our knowledge, we're getting it even better.
ePlug is important for 2 reasons. We have to share knowledge across the countries and across the companies, but we also have to be part of changing the education, because we can't keep educating people as we did 20 years ago. If we do that, we won't be able to solve the problems of tomorrow.
Katapult is in the European platform for urban greening to really accelerate the working together of these companies and schools and all the other stakeholders. And after a while, the company said, we would like to share more on innovation. We're doing a lot of education, but what about the innovation?
So the deep dive is going down to issues and solutions and how we can create and work with them.
For me, it's important to participate in ePlug and also in the deep dive, because in Leeuwarden we also have the topic of urban and water working together. And in this case, we have an opportunity to do it not only on a national scale, but also in an international context.
We have here wonderful companies and we have wonderful learning institutes. And then we are trying here to gather information what is needed in the future on our sector, but also which is really needed in my company. So there are a lot of solutions which need to be implemented, and we are here trying to figure out how to get that knowledge and how to get that integration throughout the whole Europe for our sector to build better, greener environment in the future.
Wow, so much going on in the center. We want to know what's going on in your place, Melanie.
Yes, in the Mentimeter, we asked you, what have you been working on in your COVI? And you can divide 100 points into different activities, such as renewing curricula, applied research, digitalization services for SMEs, innovating work processes, recruitment of students, and workers, internationalization activities for students and for workers, and offering lifelong learning, as well as bringing work fields experts into the schools.
Yes, and we see renewing curricula and applied research, and innovating work processes are really taking the lead. Ms. Aller, there's a lot going on in VET institutions, from doing better what you do best, teaching, but also widening your scope, doing research, etc. It's an exciting place.
Yes, exciting times, I think, to live, work and learn in. And I think here you see a wonderful example of learning on the job, not only from the student and educational perspective, but also from the industry. And you see the expertise that's in a room, you know, like from a student perspective, how is it to study now? And how do we learn to learn what the industry is about? And from the workers and the co-workers in how does our industry develop, what do we need to learn on the spot, and how can we learn from each other? So basically this is a very beautiful example from innovation, knowledge development and education, where you see that this team needs each other to bring as well education, research and knowledge, like an R&D place, forward.
You said you were a dual student, half in school, half in work. Was it sometimes like you left one world and entered a complete different world? Or are they much more work closely together?
They work closely together because in school I learned also some knowledge which I need in my company to work. So yeah, it was a good combination.
And if you were the boss of your school and you could change one thing in the school, what would you improve?
Oh. Yes, maybe I really like my internship abroad, and I wanted to make it more easier that the school or the company support us, because I think there are a lot of benefits from this for the society, for the companies, and also for the students. Maybe to be more open-minded in this fact, because you learn so much skills there. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful that you said. Can I?
Go ahead.
Because one thing that is so crucially in this time of age, and it was also said by our minister, is to give a voice to the students, because they know the future, they live the future, and they are educating to make the future. And I think if there's one thing that we do and try to emphasize, but also we can collaborate much more, is to be able and know how to listen to them and let them tell us what we need to do. So the collaboration in all these COVIs and research environments for and with students is so important. And that's our main task. Not technical skills, but to listen to the students.
Commissioner?
Well, I take absolutely the proposal of mobility.
Yeah.
Because now, for many students, university students, it's normal to have some degree of mobility because you have Erasmus, and everybody, or not everybody, many students participate in Erasmus. There is Erasmus also for vocational training students, but it's very limited yet. And we are working on this mobility, because I'm very glad to hear what you say, because this is also part, by the way, of the life skills. To bring students in vocational training to a different environment, to teach them that, they have to adapt also to this different environment. Language is one, but also the way how in different countries problems are solved sometimes a bit differently. So I think the mobility in vocational training is essential. We are working on that. Unfortunately, there are so many differences among European member states in vocational training that this mobility is not so easy to handle, but this is something we really want to promote.
But is then the solution to make education more universal? Because then if you study farming in Sweden, you have to learn everything about olives. I mean, if you make it much more that you can travel easily, the locality, the regional aspect, isn't that also the power of vocational training?
Yes, but okay, there are different, in agriculture there might be different techniques and so on, but nevertheless it might be also interesting for a Swedish farmer to learn how an Italian farmer is approaching a certain number of problems. This might be an interesting experience, even for his own job in Sweden or wherever. So I think that this exchange is fundamental, and we really have to promote this exchange. And I think this is really to promote also the life skills
that all comes together in that.
Yeah.
You've been working a lot on initiatives to close the skills gap. So you leave schools with certain skills, you come to a job, and you realize you basically need different skills. Collaboration between the private sector and education is crucial in that. Why is that crucial to you?
Well, at the end, when you go into a job, you have to practice. Now, we all know that at the school level, even with vocational, you sometimes do not get and also the job might not 100% correspond to what you have learned. So there is a necessity of a permanent relationship between your vocational institutions and companies. So companies have to be open to vocational institutions or to the school, as school has to be open to companies. So there has to be a strong relationship. Not to say that schools have to be submitted to companies, but I think there has to be just a very permanent and strong relationship of exchanges between both.
Yeah,
I agree with the Commissioner, and I can say that we need a dialogue and a new language because often, and too often, maybe not with that, but with other educational paths, there is different languages between schools and companies. So we need to active learning each other to make contamination, because as we said, different places in the world can face the same problem in different way. And this is something that can let all the people grow up and find new way to answer to the same problem.
But it requires something of the private sector, because the private sector often demands, it's the current private sector that has demands for today. Are they also able to kind of look beyond their own interests and also look at maybe their competitors of tomorrow, what they need tomorrow?
Yes, I think that the reality that our leader in the market have these characteristics to be able to look forward and to see even from the competitor what he or what that reality do better than me, and challenge myself in finding out how to do something in a new way, or try to find out what is the needed in the market that still is not answered. And working with educational excellence, vocational excellence, we can try to understand how innovation can bring together and can change our way to work and they work to educate and training people. And working together led to improve both the realities and challenges both the view. I mean, entering in GIVE projects changed the way to which GI Group work with the companies. We started to really open our eyes and introduce into work people with psychological disability, refugees, women that became mother and went out from the market and don't find a way to come back. So it's really we widening our way to look at people around us and work together to train them and build the technical skill. Is more easy to build technical skills. I mean, we work together and we can make them. And the soft skills are more, and the life skills are more easy, are more hard to build and ask more time and more collaboration because they need to bring them into reality, into practice.
Mr. Dijkgraaf, what is the key to success to make sure a public-private partnership benefits the common good and not the private good?
Well, I think the key is indeed this kind of intense collaboration. And I think that's what the strength of vocational education is, because you deal with lots of different partners. By the way, not only private, public, we have the healthcare sector, the social sector, educational sector, so it's much more broader than just private companies. But it's, I'm incredibly proud, like in the Netherlands, we have more than 250,000 companies that are learning companies which provide this kind of dual education. So it's incredible, interesting dialogue that is taking shape there. And I think sometimes the school might pull the company ahead. Sometimes it's the company that pulls the school ahead. But I think the key is the short time cycles that are typically happening here. So it's really something that happens day to day, I would say. This is the strength, particularly also for small, medium-sized companies, for vocational education. It's a different scale of technical innovation that, for instance, that when you deal with high-tech companies, where you have basic research that can take years and years and years. So it's this acceleration that's happening, I think, which is so exciting.
Yeah. Ms. Allard, in the Netherlands, we have a specific thing for it, the proctoraat, which is typically Dutch thing. It's basically what you have in higher education, a lectoraat, where someone or a professor has his own study group. Here you have, well, what do you have? How to explain it?
Well, maybe in a light, before I explain this, in the light of this short cycle movement, I mean, this is how we work from linear to circular and working in ecosystems. So I think something to be very proud of is how this industry collaborates in creating industry, an ecosystem in which learning and innovation takes place, and now also research. So the Netherlands has installed something that is called a proctoraat. Basically, it's a knowledge platform in which learning takes place. The reflective capacity of an institute, the teacher, the student, and also the industry gets developed. They work together, the proctor, the leader of the pack, works together with teacher researchers and with students, but also with the industry, to address either professional innovational questions or educational questions. And we even have built it into our system, so you can really aim to become a proctor. So this is a function now. And it also stimulates practice-based research. So in that sense, while being in the ecosystem, TVET is also a partner in developing knowledge.
Well, one example that I heard was it's a proctor who takes research that comes out of university. They read that and they make a one-pager for the local small, medium-sized entrepreneurs. Say, these are the practical implications of how to do circular design better. Yeah. Is that the typical role of a proctor?
No, that's very interesting. That's knowledge dissemination. So that's how you validate knowledge that's been brought something or generated somewhere else. No, the proctor, the lead of the pack, is somebody who helps to create knowledge in the moment in the ecosystem. So within the, for instance, in the light of a COVID or in the educational moment itself. And also then they validate it by working with the industry to say, oh, this is the knowledge we generated. How can we now make sure that it starts either to travel, or what's the value of it? So it's a level of value creation in TVET. And TVET by that becomes a knowledge partner in the landscape of practice-based research.
There's much more to talk about it. We're going to do that in workshop number 1. Join that one. It's going to be very interesting. We're going to continue talking about the future of VET and the COVID. What should we learn from each other? We're going to do that without you, Minister. You have to run to your next appointment. So you get a big round of applause for your participation. Thank you so much. Yeah, and we have a little video that I think that explains all the things we're doing, and it's Euronews. They went to look at the Bridges project.
Back when I was in 10th grade, someone told me that professionals in this field were going to be in high demand, that this sector is the future. And I enjoy working out at sea, so I decided to study aquaculture.
The island of Freya off Norway's western coast is known for some of the world's best conditions for growing salmon. It's also home to gurikuna, a pioneering school that for decades has been teaching kids as young as 16 to work in the fish farming industry. Hundreds of girls and boys come here to learn everything a fish farmer needs to know today, including how to pilot a boat and take care of the fish at a real salmon farm, just a short sea trip away from the school.
The teachers guide us through everything in the first year of the program, but in the second year we work more independently. That way we can get ready for our apprenticeships at an aquaculture company over the next couple of years.
The success of this school's program has inspired Bridges, a European-funded project that improves collaboration between schools and the industry to boost skill development in the aquaculture sector across 4 Nordic countries.
The sector needs skilled workers. When we started to work with Iceland some years ago, they were almost desperate. No education. This industry is in low-populated areas, so they needed education fast. The Bridges project aims to develop the schools to be some kind of hubs to foster this growth in skilled workers.
The school's classrooms and laboratories are located right next to industrial companies in a single aquaculture cluster. This helps the teachers keep the program in tune with what the labour market actually needs.
Being so close to the entire sector, from the suppliers to the fish farming companies, is a massive advantage for us. It gives us a unique opportunity to keep up to date with the industry developments as they happen. This ensures that our education is always relevant, that we are teaching the skills required in the industry.
Aquaculture is essential for the European Green Deal as it boosts coastal economies while providing sustainable seafood. Skilled professionals are key to making this happen. The project team are convinced that both the industry and education benefit from this collaboration.
Yeah, Commissioner, this basically has everything: educational innovation, international collaboration, and using education to get to our climate goals and maybe other goals that we have in the EU. Is this an example?
Yeah, it's a fantastic example because this kind of activity it becomes more and more important. We all know that fishery is facing enormous problems. So we have overfished. So this kind of culture, aquaculture is a big solution. And these are good jobs. These are interesting jobs. These are jobs also very much close to nature, so I like that very much.
Are you kind of jealous the way they teach there? You had more or less the same educational experience than this, maybe without the boats.
Yes, without the boats. So I also learned something which is necessary for the work, and so I also really like the example. And yesterday I also went to a site visit, the Smart Sustainable Cities. And they have also some project that they work together on real problems, and I really like it.
How important is it that, I mean, if you become a woodworker, you just learn to work wood? Or should we also really inspire all students about problems of climate change, societal, and that they all work to make the world a little bit better?
Yeah, maybe that's good, but I think it's comes too short in the school now. So
we need to a little bit more.
A little bit
more activism in our schools.
Yeah.
Well, Melanie, we are asking people what kind of good examples we should learn from each other. What is coming in?
Yes, we have good examples that people are sharing with us. So there's some concrete methods like hackathons or project-based learning, green labs, whatever that means, the dual system. And many people are saying we should learn from students, what we heard before, but also that we should listen to companies because they are really in the real world.
Okay. Well, we're gonna collect them all, we're gonna disseminate them, and then we have done the knowledge sharing for today. We're gonna talk more about how COVI's, what the next step should be. Let's first look a little bit how to do it at the L Camp.
How can the advanced manufacturing sector be transformed? Would you like to be part of the future of advanced manufacturing? The advanced manufacturing sector is being transformed. Jobs are changing. Skilled workers will play a key role in the factories of the future. Therefore, a new set of skills is demanded. Towards a digitized society, human-centric, resilience and sustainability skills are central. Then join LCamp. LCamp is the European platform of Centres of Vocational Excellence of Advanced Manufacturing, known as COVI, and offers a full set of services for our stakeholders. Vet centres, learners, SMEs and local authorities will benefit from LCamp. Thanks to LCamp, vet centres will have access to collaborative learning factories. Furthermore, vet centres will learn how to set up their own LFs. Teachers will improve their competencies in Industry 4.0 and 5.0 and will connect with their international peers. An open innovation community will foster applied research and offer new attractive study programs as well as skills for the digital era. Creativity, critical thinking, polyvalency, teamworking, interdisciplinarity, sustainability mindsets. LCamp is there for regional SMEs and big enterprises and reskilling their current workforce. Definition of skill gaps for new jobs and learning paths for upskilling workers. Training catalogues. Support on digital transitions through ADMA scans and implementations. The LCamp Skills Observatory will define the current skills trends and gaps. The open innovation community will promote applied research and build transformative partnerships between COVIs and SMEs. With the community and the observatory established, LCamp will offer learner-centric training courses. To accelerate these learning opportunities in advanced manufacturing, LCamp will create internationally connected collaborative learning factories. The platform will be a one-stop shop for accessing all the services, data and information gathered throughout the project, and it will allow all users to access all the services that LCamp will offer. Collaboration between individuals is a key element of LCamp. The platform will provide tools to assist collaboration on transnational projects and instruments to aid the sharing of resources. To sustain this collaborative approach, LCamp will set up an alliance, permanently connecting vet centres, industrial clusters and policymakers. LCamp is not just a European project with a finite life. It will become the VET European reference platform for knowledge generation and exchange in the advanced manufacturing sector. Help transform the future of the advanced manufacturing sector. Join LCamp.
Yeah, another example of a future. This looks nothing like the school I went to. Is that a good sign?
I went in a school like that. So it's really a new way to collaborate and to create networking between the reality of the company and the innovation of the future and the way of that can build it. It's really incredible.
I think it's a wonderful example for how a collaborative take responsibility for educating ourselves, all of us, for the future. I mean, this generation did not create all the problems we're facing. So let them only be the sole solution, people who solve the problems. And I think these examples, and I think also the ones you saw yesterday and in the workshop, they will be highlighted, are the perfect examples in how we collaboratively take responsibility to make the jump and bridge the gap that you were speaking about. We all need to learn, we all need to work, and we all need to innovate.
And then the big question, of course, is what can the EU do to support this movement? Melanie, we asked people what they think the EU should be focusing on, and what is it?
Yes, we offer a ranking question, so you can choose between different focuses. So we see that the support for scale-up of COVIs is quite big in demand, less bureaucracy, and the formal appreciation of VET informal appreciation of VET, more money for more COPs, and more spread the word.
Yeah, Mr. Schmidt, people want more. Apart from bureaucracy.
Well, first, I agree with everything here. Scaling up, I think this is absolutely important. I think we are now we have 400 million which should be allocated to this COVES. Not enough, so we have to invest more in these approaches. Less bureaucracy, I agree. This is the difficulty sometimes to work with European money, national money in different member states. So I think we have really to streamline. This is absolutely true. But what is very important is the formal appreciation and the informal appreciation. That's really we have to work on, because the unjustified weakness of VET is the not sufficient appreciation of VET still. We always consider the education in a very hierarchical way, so academic and then VET and so on. And this is wrong, and we have seen it. There is no hierarchy anymore. And both systems go together. So I think this is something we have to work on it very.
And is formal appreciation the foundation of informal appreciation, or is that a completely different ballgame?
Well, the formal appreciation, that's when you have this curriculum and you come and how your curriculum is appreciated. That's one thing. The second one is the informal thing. That's how society looks at you. And there is still, well, if you have an academic curriculum, well, that's considered in a certain way in comparison to vocational curriculum. And this is something we have really to correct and show that the future finally is also there. And there is a very strong interaction between the academic side and this form of
Anna, what should we do to make sure that people no longer say, oh, you did VET, but say, oh, you did VET?
Yes. So in school, my teachers also said, please go to university and do not make an apprenticeship. And I think that's the different point. So everything is good. I find it really important that the people make what they want to do, what they love. So in my opinion, the VET is something very cool and special, and I hope that everybody would see it.
Also something for in the schools. Don't say go to university, but do something that's really useful. Melanie, we have a last question for our audience.
The last question is, if I was a commissioner for a day, I would. So you're welcome to give some answers here. We are waiting for responses.
Yeah, it's an open question. Yeah, Ms. Allard, if you were commissioner for a day, what would you do?
Tell me.
Well, I really appreciate your answer about the formal appreciation of VET, but as it is the year of the skills, maybe we can start to speak about the level of your skill and not the level of your education. Because in that sense, if we move this forward, so if I would prompt an idea, and you're already working on that, let us all have, when Anna is asked, like, what did you do? She can explain the level of her skills and everybody will go, oh.
That's what we're working to. Rico, if you were commissioner for a day?
I would like to work in order to shortening the distance between the companies and educational. So facilitating the connection between even experience of work and studying together, so the dual system, or even the vocational excellence, the vocational training system, in order to have a better connection. And also another thing that for me it's really important, it's work in order to find out who the needs are and how we can identify them and bring them to the education and to the market. Okay. And this is also working on vocational guidance, so enriching and enforcing vocational guidance. And at the same time, let companies know better vocational excellence, because in the idea of companies, of SME, often the idea is of an old-fashioned kind of school, and we saw that it's not that the case. We are innovative, you are innovative, we are changing the world, so it's really something that we need to know better.
Well, good luck with doing all that in one day. Anna, if you were commissioner for a day, what would you do?
So I read a little bit of them. There were funny answer, buy a new car or something like this. But also one answer was to come into the reality, and I think that's very important to talk with all the people, with the teachers, the companies, and the students. And to find a good solution for the future, what skills or what things are very necessary for a good vocational education, and yeah.
Okay, well, Melanie, what are people saying? And in the meantime, I think I'm going to look for my microphone.
Yes, we have different proposals coming in here. So there are several people saying that vet mobility should be facilitated, should be made easier, even an obligation, and many voices are saying that COVIS should be invested in more, COVIS should be scaled up, and to invest in the cooperation between companies and vet schools.
Okay, any more ideas? The commissioner is here, so this is your moment to pitch it. Who has a great idea of what you would do when you were commissioner for a day? No volunteers? Oh, then I'm just going to pick out... Here, catch! Yeah? Hi! You're commissioner for a day, what are you going to do?
Hello. I would foster vocational excellence.
How would you do it?
For example, this kind of forums is, as Inigo said, is not voluntary. It's voluntary, it's not mandatory, but with extra funding, for example, I think would be... could achieve more stuff.
Travel around Europe, learn from each other, inspire each other. Yeah, throw the microphone to that side. Careful, it's coming from behind. Yep. Hi, you're commissioner for a day. What are you going to do?
Hi.
Stand up then, we can see you.
Sorry. I think I will double the financing for COVS.
Yeah, more money, always a good answer. Yeah. Throw the microphone to someone. Careful, it's coming from behind. Yeah. Hi.
If I became a commissioner, I will invest on vet system, because it's the right place, and in excellence and innovation, because it's the right place to change education in Europe and in the world.
Ooh, change the whole world through it. Okay, well, someone, oh, there, now the volunteers come in. Hi, stand up for us. Turn it around. Yeah.
Please protect copyright protection. In our digital world, we need of intellectual property and patent protection more.
Okay, so when that's not someone else copies your idea. Yeah, very important. Hi, what?
Hi, Eric from France. Empowering teachers in their knowledge of the companies. Give them time and give them elements to know companies. And then you will empower all the students.
But we have a shortage of teachers. If we give them more time, they have less time to teach.
Teaching time is linked with lifetime. You invest in one, you have the result in the other.
Okay, well, we're going to see that. Thank you so much. Well, Commissioner, you, while we close up, we're going to get ready for our group photo. That's a very special thing. So can we get the group photo setting ready? Commissioner, you are Commissioner for, well, I think about 300 more days. So much to do.
Yes.
What is something that you really...
First, I would like, your system is as good as the teacher who are in. So this is, I think, a very important thing. So invest more in your teacher. Give teachers the possibility to have also lifelong learning. Open the doors to the teacher to go to companies. Then they might not just say, well, go to, as I did, go to university, but perhaps having a broader perspective. So that's my first thing. Well, I have to disappoint you a bit. Commissioners have not the total power. They cannot decide. So what we can is initiate and push for. And that's what we have done. We have done a lot since this mandate, but also in previous ones, to promote, to strengthen vocational training. And we will continue. And all the good ideas, we will try to convince member states, by the way, to do it. And there is progress, because there are in many countries where vocational training was not really popular, not in the Netherlands or in Germany or in some others, but in other countries, vocational training was not really considered. Now it is changing a lot. And this is something good for the young people in this country, for the economy in this country, for the companies in this country, for the society as a whole. So that's what we can do. And that's what Europe finally is. It's this exchanges between member states, good experiences for the better.
Wonderful. Then I wish you good luck also with this mandate. And for next mandate, choose carefully who you vote for the European elections, because it matters. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. We're going to take a group picture. So everybody stand up, and we, the speakers, we're going to stand in front of the stage, and then the camera is coming to us. Yeah, there. The speakers, if you can come off the stage. Also, Commissioner, if you take one step down. And we're going to wave at the camera.
Okay.
Oh, we do a wave. Oh, yeah, we start on that side, we do the wave. 1, 2, yeah, go. Oh.